Okay. We'll speak about Teshuva this morning. Yeah. Rosh Chodesh Elul. We'll do some work. Turn to Perek Chamishi in Hilchot Teshuva. And I want to be medayek on the words of Rambam. Okay? Good morning. How are you? See you. Let's be medayek on the words of Rambam, right? Let's be very scrutinizing on Rambam's words in the fifth perek, the first seif, the first halacha of his Hilchot Teshuva. So I'm gonna read it through once, and then we'll really delve in. Reshut l'chol adam netuna. The permission is given to each person. Im ratza lahatot atzmo the derech tova. If he wants to lean himself in to a good derech, v'lehiyot sadiq, and to be a sadiq, harashut biyado. Now, many of you have studied Rambam, right? You know that what's wrong with the sentence?
There's no talk about chayav or asur.
What? Chayav and asur are out, right? The words are very ambiguous. Excellent. And what else? Kiva, what else? What else about the sentence surprises you? You're talking halakha here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no normative statement.
There's no normative statement. Exactly. Very good. So we're given a lot of sort of ambiguous types of statements. And not only that, it's very wordy, which is not Rambam's style. Very good. Hu shekatuv b'Torah, hen adam haya ke'echad mimenu. The way it's written in the Torah, man is echad mimenu. See what that means? One of something. Lada'at tov vera. To know, to relate to, good and otherwise. Kilomar. Hen means shel adam haya yachid ba'adam ve'en min sheni domelo. This is a unique species, nobody else like him. Bazeh anyan shehu ma'atzmo b'da'ato b'machshavato. He himself, in his da'at and his machshava, yodea hatov b'machshavotcha v'hara, boseh kol mashu chafetz. He knows the good and the bad and he does whatever he wants. Moshe, what story? Problem? Question? Didn't I say that already? Didn't I say if he can lean into good or otherwise, doesn't that mean that he can discern between good or otherwise? Very good. So let's see. Voseh kol ma shehu chafetz. What does that tell you?
Free will.
Huh? Absolute free will. Great. Ve'en mi she'akeh biyado menasot hatov o hara kevan sheken hu pen yishlach yado. Okay, we're going to try to do a few of the halachot today. Let's go word by word. Let's see what we can do here. Reshut l'chol adam netuna. Eddie, want to slide over a bit that way? What does it mean when we say Reshut l'chol adam netuna?
The permission is given to every man.
The permission is given to every man. Very good. Okay, fine. Im ratza lahatot atzmo. Im ratza lahatot atzmo. What do you want us to do? How do you want to explain that? Thank you. Yabdu Chamim.
He wants to straighten himself. He wants to take himself. He's off the path. He wants to bring himself back.
But he's not talking about the path yet. Good. But he's not talking about the path yet. What is he talking about? Im ratza, verb number 1. Lahatot, verb number 2. So he has free will, yeah. Im ratza, if he wants to, he can then lean. Right? We're chopping it up a lot. L'derech tova. What is l'derech tova? What does l'derech tova mean? A path, right? A path that's good. A path that's lead to good. What do you want to call it? What do you want to say? L'derech tova. Mashma that the derech itself is tov, right? Yeah. L'hiyot sadiq. מה זאת אומרת sadiq? What is a sadiq?
Someone who knows his strengths and keeps pushing.
Right, someone who knows his strengths and keeps building with them. Harashut biyado. Why do we need harashut biyado? So let's look at the whole sentence. Explain, put the sentence in your words, Morris. Reshut l'chol adam netuna.
It's the Permission is given for each man.
Permission is given to each man. Very good, excellent. Im natzah lahatot atzmo lederach tova liyot tzaddik.
To put himself on the...
If he wants to lean into a certain direction, a certain path, right, and
Or not to.
or not to, harashut biado.
The permission's in his hands.
And it's in his hands. Good. So what's going on here? If Rambam is,
The permission is in his hands?
the permission is in his hands. Come sit.
Sit here.
I can't sit.
He knows he'll get. Now he can hide in the back. The doctor likes to hide in the back. Very good. Okay, so yeah. So what do you want to do with the sentence? Yeah.
I'm confused on the permission is in his hands. Permission is something that's granted.
Permission is something that's granted. Good. Therefore, what do you want to say? Permission is something that's granted. Exactly right. So the shoot l'chol adam netuna. The permission was given. The permission was given. Right? What does that mean?
Hashem created the world in a way that we have this ability to decide.
Very good. So what do I need this for? What would I think if I didn't have this?
There wouldn't be bechira, there wouldn't be a choice.
Very good. So I might think that my direction is constricted in some way at some time, right? So this is perpetual, right? Which means, regardless of a person's experiences, life station, whatever you want to call it, the shoot, the kol adam netuna. He has absolute free choice anytime. Does that make sense?
Why do I need the second Rashut?
Why do I need the second reshut? For sure is a question. What am I doing with the first reshut?
First is like we said, that he has his free will.
So therefore, any regardless of a person's past life experiences, he has free will, right? He has free will, regardless of the fact that he grew up in this kind of house or didn't grow up in that kind of house. He has absolute free will. Correct? Is that correct? So modern theory doesn't work so well, right? Right? Because we take things back to how a child, what he felt in the womb. Or they say that the normative period of a person is from year 0 to 6. And whatever was inputted to that person from year 0 to 6 is what he's going to build from or struggle with the rest of his life. I've heard that many, many times from people. Over here, it seems not to be the case.
Why is that so?
Why is what so?
Why does this prove that those early years affects?
Would not affect.
Why does it prove that he doesn't have his free will from ages 0 to 6?
No.
If my perspectives about life are framed at a certain period of time, if it's destined for me to be insecure, for me to be angry, for me to be judgmental, for me to be constricted in my vision, because of what mom felt while I was in the womb, or because of how my parents treated. I'm not debunking it. I'm saying that that's the typical Western perspective, and this seems to fly in the face of that. It seems to. Yeah? Does it or doesn't it?
It does, but about to that point also, everyone's challenge is different. Like Rambam outlines, every man is going to be different. So his derech tovah, derech ra'ah is subjective to that person.
Perfect. But does a person have any limit in his choices, as it appears from the first line of Rambam? Very good. So,
No, it's just that your 0 to 6, that you said not in deception, they're just geared to do whatever path that was. Is easier for them. You understand? You have a much harder choice to go to the right path versus what you were formed at the baby years from your parents or from whoever is around you.
so then I don't have full.
You still have full choice. I'm just telling you it's an easier.
But your choice, my
much
choice is going to be
easier.
harder than your choice.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's
Okay. Im natzah la'atot atzmo lederech tovah liyot tzaddik. So if I want to lean in a good way and be a tzaddik, it's going to be harder for me than for you?
absolutely.
It's going to be harder for me than for you. Okay, so it's going to be harder for me, but I can still do it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, I hear it. Harashut biado. Harashut biado. Reshut v'reshut. To Eddie's point, why do I need the bookends on the same term? Why would I use the bookends on the same term?
I don't know why you need both.
Right. Why do I need both? What would you say? You might say that if you think the person was restricted by something, he's not. Right? Because I'm going to say how to shoot l'chol adam netuna. If I said to shoot once, the permission or the possibility, if I said it once, I might say one spot. I might say one spot. One spot would make sense, to your point, right? I might say one spot. But if I'm circling back and I'm bookending it, again with the words how to shoot biado, what does that tell me?
It's perpetual.
It's perpetual. Nothing constricts me. Right? Is that true?
Yeah, I could live my whole life jumping good, bad.
I could live my whole life blaming it on something else. Right? I could do that. Right? It's very popular. Right? Very good. So I think that what are you thinking?
No, I'm totally agreeing with this.
Okay, great. Ve'im ratza harashut biado. So it seems, Rambam seems to say, by the way, we know that Rambam weighed in on the nature-nurture argument. He wrote about it, right? He weighed in on that. Yeah? He did. What did he say, Ovadia? Huh? Akiva, excuse me. Newbie, I got to get your name down. Akiva, what did he say on the nature-nurture argument?
I don't know. I would guess it's more, that's a little bit of both.
That's exactly what he said. He said it's both. Okay, very good. So now, if I just heard this sentence, if I just learned this sentence, la'atot atzmo, to lean in the direction of derech tov, v'lihiyot tzaddik. So I seem to have three operative efforts here. La'atot atzmo, to lean, l'derech tova, in a certain direction, and then to be a tzaddik. So there seems to be three pivot points, right? There's not one. Is that right?
Is it four?
Is there four?
Is that son? Is it wants?
Oh, very nice. Im ratza, perfect, beautiful. Yes, I think you're right. I have to garner the will. I have to lean in that direction. I have to lean in the direction, I guess you would say emotionally first, not practically. Then it's derech tov, and then it's liyot tzaddik. So give me a practical example.
Well, that'll tell you that you should never, the guys who make that quick, going from Chiloni to a black hat, they usually don't stay.
It's hard. It's hard.
This explains to you.
It's not formative. I didn't really change.
You have to,
Yeah.
till you want, you have to make the first jump to
Right.
take the right path.
Very
Then
nice.
you take the next jump to be good.
Right.
Then you take the last jump to want to be at something.
Beautiful. So I first need the ratzon, right? What do I really want out of my life? What do I want? Then I need lahatot atzmo. So what's the practical expression of lahatot atzmo? What does that mean on a practical basis? I have the ratzon, right? To your point. I identified the ratzon. This is the kind of person I want to be, right? I identified the ratzon. I'm going to lean in a certain direction. What does that mean? In practical dabble. How do I dabble? Very good. How do I dabble?
You start to make small moves.
I start to make small moves, right? Which means what?
You're veering to the right path.
Excellent. But what does it mean when I start to make small moves? No, it means small means something. It means small means a lot, right? Small means a lot. In Judaism, it's only about baby steps. It's always about baby steps. It's never about drama, and it's never about massive, to your point, right? So, im ratza, I have to establish the will. La'atot atzmo, I got to lean in a certain direction. Leaning in a direction doesn't suggest action. It suggests maybe mindfulness or, discussion. But it doesn't suggest action. Very nice. The derech tova. What does derech tova mean? Why didn't Rambam, who's the master of language, say letova?
Everyone has a different path.
What's that?
Everyone's path is going to be different of what the derech tova is.
Very good. But talk to me more about the word derech specifically.
That it has to be a journey. It's not, you don't just get
It has to be a journey. Fantastic. It has to be a journey. And that goes back to your point, right? It has to be a journey. So I establish the will. I begin to lean into something, right? You're talking about a massive level of thoughtfulness here, right? This is not the slam bang, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, make proclamations, say a lot of things, shout a lot of things, and move on and have zero change for most people, right? Most people don't change, right? We keep circling in place. We're well-intentioned, but we didn't do anything. Why? Because the thoughtful process that's essential in order to make changes wasn't engaged. So when you look back at life, you find very often that what a person does or what a person struggles with, the topical, the symptomatic stuff, is all based in some core issues or challenges, pain or otherwise, that the person never addressed. So what people do when they go into, why do we have the whole month of Elul, and then Rosh Hashanah, and then the 10 days, and then we go to the end, right? Shmini Atzeret. Why? Knock it out, right? New Year's Eve, what's your New Year's proclamation, right? Remember that on the radio? Yeah? So what's your New Year's proclamation, right? It's a massive process. It's a huge amount of introspection. Why do I do this? Where does the fear come from? Where does the anger come from? Where does the insecurity come from? These are topical expressions. Why can't I get into a rigorous habit of saying Shema before I go to sleep at night? I'm a fairly functional person, and these are topical things, these are surface things. But what people don't appreciate and work hard at is the fact that if I'm feeling a sense of, if I'm not nice to person X, or I can't deal with this situation right, these are surface things that have a core source or origin in a deep place in me, some of which might have been formed in the womb or when I was 0 to 6 years old. And some of it might have been brought from my previous life, right? Because in the Gilgul of Neshamot, right, as we evolve and grow through time, we have baggage. We absolutely, unequivocally have baggage. No doubt. That's why we came back. So if there was a formative stuff that goes on, and or if there's baggage that came from before, right, it means that I'm going to struggle with the same issues throughout my life. And if I deal with the issues on a symptom, surface, or topical level, I'm not going to achieve much, because it's going to go from manifesting here and it's going to manifest over there. And that's what Rambam's talking about in his greatness and in his genius. He says, Reshut l'chol adam. You are not limited. You are not bound. You are not constricted by what happened in a previous life or from 0 to 6 or in the womb, whatever it might be. You have the ability. You were given the permission, so to speak, to if you want, don't ever tell me I can't do. I remember a case many, many years ago where somebody came to my house and blamed their child's struggle on her grandfather's behavior. I'm not trying to be cynical. A lady, a son, the lady's father, the lady's grandfather. My grandfather did it, my father did it, I do it. What do you want from my son? 4 generations? We're going to write it off? Yeah. 4 generations, we are going to write it off. That was exactly her point. That's not what Rambam is saying. Rambam is saying something very different. He's saying, I don't have a limitation. And if you told me that he didn't believe in nature and nurture, if he didn't believe in that, which he does, then this would be in question. But because he understands that it is what you came into the world with and what you were impacted by, now this has massive impact. It has massive impact. It says, I have the reshut, I have the permission, I have the capacity. So now, I used to do it with my students. We used to take the vidui and, list all the topical things that the person didn't do or whatever wanted to do, whatever it might be. And I used to put lines on the side. It was very rudimentary then. I used to draw the lines on the side of it. And we used to drill deep into 5 or 6 things. How many issues are raised on the vidui? 100? More? Yeah. Right? Vidui Gadol is even bigger, right? I used to say, you know what? Go through it 3-4 times and focus in on the recurring points, because everybody has them. The issues I struggle with today, I've struggled with my whole life. They just manifest differently. They manifest differently. Nothing changed, because those are the core issues by design. That's my DNA, my emotional, psychological DNA. That's what I came in with, or that's what happened. So therefore, if I want to get serious about Teshuva, I need to drill deep. And therefore, the redundancy of the language of Rambam, because he understands this on a very serious level, much more serious than most people understand it. And just to jump outside a minute, what's the purpose of the shofar, of the kol ha-shofar, Chamavaja? We learned kol, right? What does kol mean?
It's like an elevated type of voice.
Right, it's a piercing sound. It pierces. The kol, when we use the term kol, we reference something raw. We reference something piercing. We reference something much more powerful than a word. So what do? We use the shofar to go deep inside, to open us up. What people ask me, what should I think while the shofar is being blown? You know what you should think? Deep stuff. What builds me? What's my emotional, psychological DNA? Why am I still struggling with the same issue 20, 30, 40 years into my life? Why? You know why? Because that's what you're here to struggle with. And that's what you're here to fix. And that's the whole deal. Now, if we get serious about it, we make more progress. Because Eddie, you might remember, right? The disc jockey on New Year's Eve, what would he say? What's your New Year's resolution? And the lady would say, X. And then he'd get the lady back on the radio 2 weeks later, or a month later, or 6 months later, and he'd say, how'd you do with your New Year's resolution? And what would he say? 0. Right? Why? It wasn't her fault. It wasn't because she was insincere. It was because she didn't understand that was just topical and surface. So when we have the great good fortune, the beracha, to start another year of life, which is absolutely, we know, unequivocally not a given. We have Rosh Chodesh is a massive celebration because we're celebrating the fact that we were able to enter this month again. It's not a given. Not everybody walked into Elul again. Just kacha. Doesn't go that way. What we're supposed to do in this beautiful, we can certainly do it very easily in this beautiful area, we're supposed to take a long walk with a pencil and paper, or whatever you use these days, and you're supposed to think about the surface issues, the recurring surface issues, and everybody has them. They just manifest differently. They don't go away. It's mind-boggling. I took a walk yesterday on the beach. I said, how could it be at this point in my life I'm still struggling with X? I was in school for umpteen years. Right? I've been learning Torah for umpteen years. I've been teaching Torah, this, that, and I'm on this page. I know it. I understand it. You know why I'm still struggling? Because that's what I'm here to fix. And if I fixed it a little, I got to fix it a lot more. And this is the deal. And we cannot write anything off to, whatever. That's out of my control. Because he says here, the shoot netuna. I gave you the permission to do it. I.e., you have the possibility to do it. Don't tell me that my son struggles with an issue that my grandfather hardwired into the family. That's clearly not what Rambam is allowing for. He's not allowing for that, right?
But on that point, I tell you, I see things that my son does that I blame myself. I said I was like that.
Right.
You know, sarcastic remarks, stuff like. And I know it was me.
Okay, very
When I
good.
was younger.
So now,
It gets me mad because I changed. I didn't, change. What is that? How do you give me that answer?
okay, you have to learn this with him.
Victor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Spectacular, David.
That's,
Spectacular.
Exactly what he's talking about.
That's exactly what he's talking about. By the way, if anybody hasn't read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, it is an essential book to read. Essential. He's one of the three giants of overall psychology, right? Logotherapy, I think he calls it, right? It's a 200-page book. It's a baby book,
Amazing.
right? He wrote, I think it was a 30-volume treatise, right, that he buried when he was in Auschwitz, or one of the camps, which he survived, and his 30-volume treatise survived. I think it became known as Logotherapy. He summarizes it. It's in a little tiny book. It's 100 pages about his experience in the Holocaust, and 100 pages about his theory about life. It is absolutely critical reading. Did you read it? Oh, must. Must. Isaac? No? Okay, honey. This is fantastically important. Eddie, you read it, Doctor, right? Akiba, you read it? You did. Okay, very, very important. You read it, Eddie? Okay, very good. Eddie, you read it?
No.
Okay, very, very important. Yeah, very, very important. Home run. Thank you for reminding us of that. Okay.
What does the word reshut really mean?
Reshut. What does the word reshut mean? You tell me.
I thought it was like reshut, like with the permission of.
Right.
Yeah.
But
That's
so,
right.
What is there really a difference? You said like, okay, it means the permission and the capability. But does it really mean the capability? I mean, you have the permission to do X.
Fantastic
I have the permission
question.
to go lift 500 pounds. I can't lift 500 pounds.
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. I'm sorry you don't have the book in front of you. Let's go through the line again, and you will answer your question. Reshut l'chol adam netuna, im ratza la'atot atzmo lederech tova, right? Then you might say he has the reshut, he has the permission, but it's limited, right, Morris? To your question. He has the permission, but does he have the capacity? If he addresses your point exactly, and it's very, very important. I'm going to tell you to flip your question on its head in a second, but before we get to that, l'derech tova lehiyot tzaddik. So what does he say? Can anybody be a tzaddik?
Yeah.
Anybody could be a tzaddik.
Meaning, so you have the permission to lean on this path,
Yeah.
and that's where the path ends.
And ultimately you can be a tzaddik.
And then you can lift your 500 pounds.
And then you can lift to 500 pounds, exactly. Exactly.
I would say also that Sadiq is something that's unique. There isn't one type of Sadiq, right?
Right.
There's
We
one
define
specific-
a tzaddik as a person who has discovered his or her inherent kohot, his neshamic DNA, so to speak. He knows the kohot that he has, and he is taking them and building with them. And when he's built the first tranche of success and growth, personal development, collective growth as a result, he takes those kohot and he moves to the next, and he takes them to the next. The tzaddik, the people who are not tzaddikim, the people don't know what they have to work with. Yeah? Which is, what could be worse than if a person doesn't recognize his core skills? So the same way I have to recognize the pain in my neshama, the areas that have to be built in my neshama, I have to also recognize the hardwired skills, excellence, power, possibility. Right? So that's your tzaddik.
100%. That's why I think about Son is also very important there, because if you take that exercise and you sit down and you ask yourself, what do I need to improve on? Those answers come very naturally. At least I find in my own experience.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
When you sit down with a pen and paper and you ask yourself the hard-hitting questions, what do I need to improve on? What are the things that I'm not doing right? Those answers tend to flow naturally.
Right, but I want you to go far with them. I want you to drill deep, right? So if Eddie says that he's seeing in his son something that he did, yeah? Okay, fine. Now what you got to do is you got to drill down and say, what does this come from in me? What's the source of it in me? Now, if you can identify the source of it, because again, what we do before, those are the surface things. Drill me down to the source, right? And there is a source, and it might have happened in the womb, and it might have happened 0 to 6. Could be. I'm going to give you a personal example, okay? 3 years before I was born, my father went bankrupt. Okay, my father went bankrupt. It was a public thing. It was very, very difficult for him. And as a result of that, his passion and his life's dream, which was his work in the synagogue, was interrupted and compromised. And he was very, very broken by that. And then my baby brother got sick. Before I was born, my baby brother got sick. He was 2 years old. He got leukemia. All this happened in the stretch of 1 year or so, 1 or 2 years. At that time, when a child got sick or a person got sick with cancer, people didn't say the word cancer. Do you remember this? When we were kids? People didn't say the word cancer because they thought if they said it, somebody might get it.
Till today.
Huh? They say the disease. They say the disease. They say the disease. And as a result of that, my mother sat with my baby brother in the hospital for a year, and nobody visited the hospital. Because you didn't want to visit the hospital, because you thought if you visited the hospital, you might get sick. And then my brother died. He was just 3 years old. My brother Alfred died. Okay. We didn't see a picture of him. My brother Jeff and I, the younger siblings, we were born later. We didn't see a picture of him until I was 15, because my parents didn't stop mourning him. They never stopped mourning. And they didn't have a picture in the house. When I was 15, Jeff was 14, my brother is 13 and a half. Jeff demanded that they put a picture back up in the house. And my mother was sobbing, and she did. Then we had a picture in the living room about him. I went to a Stephen Covey program once. Anybody know Stephen Covey? He's another spectacular thinker. Many Lives, Many Masters. Did you read it? I hold Many Lives, Many Masters. I taught Many Lives, Many Masters a number of years ago from a Torah perspective. Pretty fantastic. He didn't write it from a Torah perspective. He's Jewish, but I taught it from a Torah perspective after I had read it a number of times. Did you read it? Oh, you should read it. It's not on the Viktor Frankl level. Did you read it, David? But it's a very important book. Very important book. I went to one of his seminars, and he did, I forget what he called it, he did some type of hypnosis to enable people to understand some things about their lives, right? He did some form of hypnosis. And he took you back to the womb. And as a result of being taken back to the womb, being born a year after, in other words, I was conceived very quickly after my brother died, right? Being born at that point, being in my mother's womb at that time, I understood certain things about my emotional needs that I never would have understood before. In other words, there is massive formative stuff that happens in the womb and in the early, huh?
Because your mother was in a state of mourning.
She was absolutely in a state of mourning. There's no doubt she was in a state of mourning.
You felt it.
And I felt it, and some of my emotional needs and otherwise were unequivocally hardwired as a result of that.
That's the field of epigenetics, by the way.
What is it called?
Epigenetics.
So explain it to us.
So epigenetics, things that influence, your being, traumatic things could influence the way your DNA expresses itself, and it actually could, even though your DNA is the same, it's wrapped in certain proteins, histones, things like that. And by that traumatic type of event, there's certain chemical things that happen in the body that influence how your DNA is going to be expressed.
Awesome. Awesome. Can you send me an article on that? If you find something? Thank you. Awesome. This man is so smart.
Yeah.
He just doesn't show up. That's the problem. When he shows up and he opens his mouth, he has so much to share. With that, Rambam says that you can change. Yeah.
In Rambam's words and what he's explaining to us now, it seems very objective, but how important is the subjective emotional state into the subjective?
You tell me. Fantastic point. You tell me. How does it sound?
From Rambam's words, it sounds very objective, but going into Rosh Hashanah, going into Kippur, they tell us to cry during the Vidur and to be very emotional about certain things. But how do we fit it in? Are we 100% objective, or do we fit in this emotional spectrum and be subjective and objective?
Okay, great question. Yeah.
So actually, Rabbi Monster gave a very nice class this week, and the issue of the holiday, especially Rosh Hashanah and building it, which is what you were saying, is the experience to get to the journey is equally important as arriving at the place. Right. So the place is Rosh Hashanah, but the journey to get to there requires you preparation to get your mindset in there, which is why you have Selichot, you have all these things that we build over thousands of years. This is how you get to that point. So when Rosh Hashanah comes, your mind is ready, and your closeness to Hashem and your ability to change is going to be much greater. So the journey, 3 times we go up to meet God. The journey, getting there, is just as important.
Right. It is the whole process. What Eddie's asking is the emotional versus the objective, right? And you and I have learned this together. Yeah? Okay, so you tell me the answer. I know why you're asking the question in this context, but tell me the answer. This is a very important point. No, this is a very important point. Say your question again and paraphrase it so it's understood a little better.
Everything we learned just now about what Rambam is telling us, Rambam is telling us that look at your life, not topically. You said you have to go deep. And when you go deep, go objectively. Why are you acting certain ways and doing certain things? And lean in the proper direction and take those steps. It's all objective of things we're doing and things we have to do. But there's something within there that in order to find what we're doing and how to do it, X, Y, and Z, we have to step out of this objectiveness for a second and go into the subject.
Excellent. So Chacham, you and I have learned this together. Where do we parcel out? Where do we separate out the subjective and emotional? Where do we do that?
Decision-making process.
In the decision-making process. But in this process, when do we do it? We've learned together, Al Pi Rambam, that this is not an emotional process, but a rational, objective process, right? Very good. Where does that play in, Akiva? What do you say? See, you walked into the class. You thought you were going to hang out and this, that. We don't do that here. Sorry, we don't do that here. That's over there in the other room.
I guess the way I would imagine it is like it's an objective sort of journey to address maybe subjective problems.
Excellent. And if it's an objective journey to my subjective challenges, what does that mean? There's some very significant things that come with that. What does it mean? Huh?
Regret is not emotional. Charata is not emotional.
It means charata is not emotional. Excellent. Home run. Home run.
What's charata?
Charata is wrongly translated. Remember, one of the headlines of our learning together is we don't translate, we interpret. Lashon HaKodesh was never meant to be translated. And therefore, when we translate, we misdirect a lot of things.
So it's not regret?
No, it's retrospection. The entire process of Rambam, the 5 steps of the Rambam, the Teshuva steps, have zero to do with emotion. That's exactly what Eddie's talking about. It's completely objective. So I'm going to approach emotional challenges from an objective point of view. How does that make any sense? You're asking? Excellent. Well, I'm going to object them without any self-judgment. I'm going to approach them, without self-judgment. I am not going to judge myself as being a bad guy.
No, but how do you...
I approach them objectively. Let me ask you something. Let's say you miss a swing in tennis, right? Okay, you miss a swing in tennis. You can evaluate it as, okay, I have to refine my swing to add this or to reduce that or to act more quickly in that respect. Or you could say, oh, am I a failure?
No, but my action...
Or you're going to say, oh, am I a failure? Right? Do people do that? All day long, right?
Yeah.
All day long.
Look,
Yeah?
You missed the game-winning hit.
You missed the game-winning hit. Game is over. Am I a failure? If I'm a failure, then I've clouded the personal growth process. I'm going to avoid it like the plague going forward, because nobody wants to make himself feel bad, even if he thinks he may end up feeling better as the ultimate result of his action. And that's why, to Eddie's point, and thank you very much for raising it, to Eddie's point, I approach these issues from a completely non-judgmental way. I approach emotional problems, if there are, right, as part of the makeup, in a non-judgmental way. Because if I approach my miss of the tennis shot or anything else with self-judgment, self-berating, sledgehammering, what's going to happen, Akiva?
You won't grow.
I'm not going to grow. Because who wants to do that? So I'm either going to make myself more depressed, more angry, more self-judging and guilt-ridden, or I'm going to be a minuval because I'm not going to grow. And that's why Rambam says you approach these things objectively, without when we're, the distinction we're making here is, do I approach emotional issues? Yes. But how do I approach those emotional issues? Without a sense of self-judgment. I am not a failure. I am not a bad guy. I am not. Those things are very Western. They're not Jewish. Guilt is very Western, not Jewish. It has nothing to do with Teshuva. Remorse has nothing to do with Teshuva, huh?
I thought Jews invented.
No, they didn't. Christians invented guilt. We didn't invent guilt. They invented guilt. We became the champions of guilt, but never had anything to do with us. Never. And I challenge anybody, tell me, we have the Asham offering, which we mistranslate as the guilt offering. We mistranslate it. Okay? Here again. Huh?
Didn't we say there's no Hebrew word?
There is no Hebrew word for guilt. No ancient Hebrew word for guilt. Zero. You know why? Because it's a foreign concept to Judaism. Because emotion and growth are antithetical. They're enemies of each other. So if I'm going to browbeat myself and self-judge, by the way, do I do it? Both hands up. We all do it. We have to fight our environment. As we know that when a neshama is placed in a foreign environment, a Jewish neshama is placed in a foreign environment with all the great good that America brings, and it's a spectacular country, greatest country in the history of the world, we still absorb the foreign values and the anti-Torah values. We have no choice. Our neshamot can't fight them off completely. There's just no way.
Doesn't it give us the falta canta? You fell, you gotta push to go on.
That's right.
If I fell and didn't think anything was wrong or not bad or the action wasn't bad, then what's gonna give me the drive to? So that guilt, so-called, is really gonna give me the drive to do better.
No, it's not.
No.
No.
It's going to condemn you.
No. The guilt does the opposite. Guilt, huh?
My question also is, it might not be guilt, but is there any subjective emotion we have to touch before we become?
Yeah, resilience, self-love. That's what we need. That's what we should embrace. Self-love, a sense of unconditional greatness, a sense of bishvilini v'olam, a sense of dmut, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Those are the things. Those are the things. You know what?
We have to feel bad about something before we make it better.
Huh? What time is it? What time is it?
It's almost 9 o'clock.
And we're going to finish in 10 minutes. You need the room? We'll finish sooner.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Why?
There's a bar mitzvah, there's a baby coming there, the baby.
The baby's here?
Yeah, they're bringing a few minutes.
Okay, we'll finish in 2 minutes. Okay, well, to be continued, God willing. We're leaving in the middle of the sentence, so to speak, but we'll continue. I'm sorry, what was your point, the last point that was raised?
No, I was just saying that I know I used the word guilt, but I don't mean really guilt. I meant it, by me saying I did wrong, it pushes me.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do.
Again,
Let's take another 90 seconds, don't leave, because this is a critical point. This is the most important point so far. Thank you for raising it. Okay? In order to grow, the guilt and the self-judgment must be completely removed from this consideration. Because if it's not, it's debilitating. I won't have the wherewithal to confront things. I won't have the wherewithal to move beyond things because I beat the heck out of myself. It has no place in Teshuva. Let me ask you something. Yom Hadin, why are we celebrating? Why are we wearing beautiful new clothing? Why are we having celebratory meals? It's Yom Hadin, for God's sake. You know why? Because it's a great day. Because I'm objectively looking at where I am and figuring out how to get to a greater place and a better place. And what does guilt have to do with this? Zero. It should never come into the thing. If Yom Hadin was meant to be a day of guilt, I would be tearing my clothes, lying on the floor, rolling in the dirt. This is not Jewish values. It's a happy day. Okay, gentlemen, we'll continue. Baruch Adonai L'olam, amen, amen. Thank you.